Hello everyone, and welcome back to Travel with Brian. The 2024 Major League Baseball season is right around the corner, and I'm sure all baseball fans are just as excited as I am. Last year, I created a video predicting the outcome of the season. For those who haven't seen it, I'll include the link in the description below. Despite my best efforts, my predictions simply were just awful. I think the worst of all my predictions was putting the Rangers in 4th place in the AL West, and obviously the Rangers went on to win the World Series, so that prediction was pretty terrible. So, I decided to redeem myself by predicting the outcome of the 2024 Major League Baseball season. I will start with my predictions for the final division standings, followed by the playoffs and World Series. If you have any thoughts or opinions about my predictions, please let me know in the comments below. And also, please comment and let me know your predictions. As always, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more great content. Your support is always appreciated, and it definitely helps me grow my channel. Now, it's time to play ball. Let's get started with the predictions. Starting off with the American League East Division, in 5th place, we have the Boston Red Sox. Unfortunately, there aren't very many positive things I can say about the Red Sox. Just a few years ago, they were one of the most exciting and dominant teams in all of baseball. Ever since then, they've really fallen down, and I don't see any sign that they're getting back up this season. At number 4, we have the Tampa Bay Rays. I know that this is going to be a pretty unpopular opinion. Normally, I would not say that the Rays are a 4th place team. However, the AL East is probably going to be the most competitive division, and I think the Rays are going to fall just short of the top 3 teams. I still think the Rays are a very competitive team, and realistically, I think 1st through 4th place is open to any of these 4 teams. In 3rd place, we have the Toronto Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays are a really solid team, and kind of similar to the Rays, I don't think that they're necessarily a 3rd place team overall. I just really don't see them overtaking either of the top 2 teams. In 2nd place, we have the New York Yankees. The Yankees made some huge additions this offseason, and there is little doubt that they're going to be one of the most exciting teams this season. I think that 1st and 2nd place are going to go back and forth quite a bit this season, but I have the Yankees falling just short after 162 games. In 1st place, we have the Baltimore Orioles. After many years of being terrible, the Orioles have put together one of the most solid teams in all of baseball. Even though they play in probably the most competitive division, I really don't see any of the other teams standing in their way of 1st place. Moving on to the American League Central Division, in 5th place, we have the Kansas City Royals. The Royals have just not really been competitive over the past few years, and I don't think they've really done anything to change that fact for this season. In 4th place, we have the Chicago White Sox. Just a few years ago, the White Sox were predicted to be one of the hottest teams in all of baseball. However, all they became was a complete disappointment. It looks like we're in the opening stages of a rebuild, and the White Sox are only going to get worse this season. In 3rd place, we have the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers have not done much at all over the past few years, but it seems that they've made progress towards building up a better team. That being said, I still think they have a lot of work to do if they're going to finish at the top of this division. In 2nd place, we have the Cleveland Guardians. This is another division that's going to be very competitive for the top spot, but by the end of the season, I really don't think the Guardians are going to have enough to win this division. In 1st place, we have the Minnesota Twins. The Twins have been consistently solid over the past few years, and they've also made a few moves to continue to build up their team. Overall, I have little doubt that they're the best team in this division. Moving on to the American League West Division, in 5th place, we have the Oakland Athletics. If you know anything about the current state of baseball, you'll understand that this doesn't even need an explanation. In 4th place, we have the Los Angeles Angels. There was once a time when the Angels had a lot of potential and really seemed like they could put together a solid team. Unfortunately for them, that time has long since gone, and this season is only going to be the beginning of a long rebuild for the Angels. In third place, we have the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners are looking like a really solid team, and I think they have the potential to put together a really good season. While I definitely wouldn't count them out of finishing in the top 2 of this division, I just really think that the odds are against them competing with either of the top 2 teams. In second place, we have the Houston Astros. This is going to be another very competitive division, and I really think that the top 2 spots in this division are up for either of these teams. While it wouldn't surprise me if the Astros ended up winning this division, I can just see them running out of gas by the end of the season and settling for second place. In first place, we have the Texas Rangers. You need a very solid team to pull together a World Series run like the Rangers had last season, and they've been able to retain most of the core of that team. When you consider these facts, I'd have to say the odds are in favor of the Rangers winning this division. Moving on to the National League East Division, in fifth place, we have the Washington Nationals. Ever since their run to the World Series in 2019, the Nationals have completely gone downhill, and they haven't made any moves to improve this season. In fourth place, we have the Miami Marlins. The Marlins were a very exciting and competitive team last season, but I just don't think they've made enough moves to really be competitive this season. In third place, we have the New York Mets. Without a doubt, the Mets were the most disappointing team last season. The Mets have made some noteworthy offseason moves, so I wouldn't necessarily count them out this season, but I don't think they've built up a solid enough team to finish in the top 2 of this division. In second place, we have the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies have a really solid team, and I think they're going to be very competitive this season. In most divisions, I'd say they were a likely bet for first place, but when you consider their division foes, it becomes quite an uphill battle for them to win this division. In first place, we have the Atlanta Braves. The Braves have been arguably the most dominant team over the past few years, and there is little doubt that they will continue to dominate this season. When you consider all the facts, this was probably the easiest division winner for me to pick. Moving on to the National League Central Division, in fifth place, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates have long been at the bottom of the NL Central, and it doesn't seem like they've made enough significant moves to change that fact for this season. In fourth place, we have the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers have given strong indications that they're in the midst of a soft rebuild, and I think they're going to be very competitive in a few years, but I just don't think they have a solid enough team to be competitive in the division for this season. In third place, we have the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds surprised everyone last season by putting together a very competitive team. While I definitely wouldn't count them out of finishing at the top of the division for this season, I still think that they have a lot of moves to make if they're really going to be a contender. In second place, we have the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals were an absolute disappointment last season, but I still don't think they have a bad team overall. They've also made a few significant off-season additions, and I really think they're going to be much more competitive this season. In first place, we have the Chicago Cubs. Now, anyone who knows me is aware of the fact that I'm a huge Cubs fan, but when it comes to making these predictions, I tried my best to do it from a neutral, fact-based perspective. While my bias may have played a part in this decision, I do think that the Cubs are the most solid team in the NL Central. The Cubs really became a contender during the second half of last season, and they've been able to hold on to the core of that team while making a few additions to make them even more competitive. Moving on to the National League West Division, in fifth place, we have the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies have really just not done much over the past few years, and there is little indication that that fact will change for this season. In fourth place, we have the San Diego Padres. In last season's predictions, I really thought the Padres were going to be unstoppable and were a likely bet to win the World Series. Turns out they were nothing but a complete disappointment, and they'll be going into this season in worse shape than last season. In third place, we have the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks surprised everyone last season with a run to win the National League pennant. While I still think that they're a very solid team and could definitely be a contender in this division, I just don't think that they've made enough offseason moves to really compete with the top two teams. In second place, we have the San Francisco Giants. The Giants have made some very significant moves this offseason, and I have little doubt that they'll have one of the best records in the National League. If it wasn't for the fact that they're in the NL West division, I would say that they're a sure contender to win the division. In first place, we have the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers have made it very clear that they are expecting nothing less than winning the World Series. These intentions became very clear when they spent the most offseason money in Major League history. When you look at all of the moves that they've made this offseason, there is almost no doubt that they're a favorite to win the World Series. Now let's move on to the final league standings for the American League. Starting off with the division winners, the number 3 seed goes to the Minnesota Twins. Moving on to the number 2 seed, we have the Texas Rangers. Finally, the number 1 seed in the American League goes to the Baltimore Orioles. Moving along to the 3 wildcard teams, the number 1 wildcard team and 4th seed overall goes to the New York Yankees. With the 2nd wildcard spot and 5th seed overall, we have the Houston Astros. To round out the American League, with the last wildcard spot and 6th seed overall, we have the Toronto Blue Jays. Now let's move on to the final league standings for the National League. Starting off with the division winners, the number 3 seed goes to the Chicago Cubs. Moving along, the number 2 seed goes to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Finally, the number 1 seed in the National League goes to the Atlanta Braves. Moving along to the wildcard teams, with the number 1 wildcard spot and 4th seed overall, we have the San Francisco Giants. With the 2nd wildcard spot and 5th seed overall, we have the Philadelphia Phillies. To round out the National League, with the last wildcard spot and 6th seed overall, we have the St. Louis Cardinals. Moving ahead to the playoffs, we'll start with the American League Wildcard Series. In the first series, I am predicting that the Toronto Blue Jays will defeat the Minnesota Twins 2-0. In the second series, I am predicting that the New York Yankees will defeat the Houston Astros 2-1. Moving along to the National League Wildcard Series, in the first series, I am predicting that the Chicago Cubs will defeat the St. Louis Cardinals 2-1. In the second series, I am predicting that the Philadelphia Phillies will defeat the San Francisco Giants 2-0. Moving ahead to the American League Division Series, for the first series, I am predicting that the Baltimore Orioles will defeat the New York Yankees 3-1. In the second series, I am predicting that the Texas Rangers will defeat the Toronto Blue Jays 3-1. Moving on to the National League Division Series, in the first series, I am predicting that the Atlanta Braves will defeat the Philadelphia Phillies 3-2. In the second series, I am predicting that the Los Angeles Dodgers will sweep the Chicago Cubs 3-0. Moving on to the American League Championship Series, I am predicting that the Baltimore Orioles will defeat the Texas Rangers 4-2. In the National League Championship Series, I am predicting that both teams will be very competitive and this will be quite an exciting series. In the end, I am predicting that the Atlanta Braves will defeat the Los Angeles Dodgers 4-3. Finally, we've arrived at the 2024 World Series between the Baltimore Orioles and the Atlanta Braves. To cap off an exciting season of baseball, I am predicting that the winner of the 2024 World Series will be the Baltimore Orioles 4-3. In 2023, the Orioles showed that they're a very competitive and highly skilled team in all areas. When you consider that the Orioles have held together the core of that team, as well as the fact that they still have the #1 farm system in all of baseball and have made several key offseason additions, I have little doubt that they're the most likely team to win the World Series. So there you have it for my predictions for the 2024 Major League Baseball season. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, then I'd highly recommend checking out one of the links here for more great content. And before I go, I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching my video today. Until next time, this has been Travel with Brian.